Hey, good afternoon, guys. This is Nick Fitzpatrick, President of Cumberland and Worthy. Cumberland and Worthy is a commercial real estate brokerage here in the Atlanta market. We advise owners and occupiers of office, healthcare, and industrial assets. I want to talk to you today about understanding your value in the marketplace. Something that happens pretty regularly in our business is we prepare what's called a broker opinion of value for an owner. And in that opinion of value, I might be saying, hey, if we were to bring your property, your building, your whatever out to the market right now, here's where we think the market would respond at. If it's a single tenant, net lease industrial asset, we may say, hey, we think the market's going to respond at a 7.5% cap rate. If you are going to sell a portfolio of medical office buildings with long-term tenants, we might say, hey, we expect the market's going to respond between 6.5 and 6.75% cap rate. Whatever that is, we're really just telling them, hey, based on what's in the market right now, here's where we think your property will trade at and how the market will respond. That's really useful for owners because they can have that do I buy versus or do I sell versus do I hold conversation. Some owners just like to keep track of what their buildings are worth for other financial considerations. Hey, real estate's kind of my fun thing. I want to know that I have $10 million in real estate assets, whatever that is. But it's an ongoing conversation, and we're always happy to have that with building owners. In that conversation, we might say, hey, you're at this valuation right now. If you do X, Y, and Z, we think we can get you to this valuation. You have an older multi-tenant asset and they're on gross leases. Hey, the market's really going to value triple net leases a lot better. So let's go ahead, start getting those converted. Let's get your tenants that are below market rent up to market rent. Once we do that, we'll have a stabilized operating income, NOI, and then we can sell that to an investor. We'll just give them different strategies for how they can improve their property's value. So that's a long-winded introduction to our topic today, because what we're actually going to talk about is understanding the value of your tenancy. The example in the illustration, our owners are constantly talking with us, really getting a sense of the market. Hey, where is the market valuing what I have? And tenants don't really do that a lot. There are definitely some sophisticated real estate departments that really have that dialed in. I think a lot of your retailers, they really know that really well. But your traditional private office tenant, your traditional medical practice thing, they're not thinking about this at all. They're not thinking about what type of leverage do I have in the marketplace that I'm not taking advantage of. What can I do better to better position myself in the marketplace? And then, hey, if I'm working with a landlord, I have a lease renewal coming up, and I'm working with a landlord and I want to say, hey, I'm thinking about leaving, you better give me something good. You really have to know what the market's valuing your tenancy at. And no one really does it. This is a conversation we're starting to have. Look, here's the deal. If you need 10,000 square feet of suburban office space, you're not overly picky what building you go into. You want it updated, you want a good lease rate, you want it close to the interstate. If you're not overly picky, you're going to take 10,000 square feet for 7 years. You command a lot of power in the marketplace. Part of the problem that we're going to face when we represent you is getting rid of just the dead weight and trimming that list down. Hey, we can't show you 30 buildings because you don't have 3 weeks to devote to this. That tenant's going to come in with a lot of firepower. We're going to be able to pick the best building that we can. We're going to be able to work with the best owners that are going to give us fully funded tenant improvement allowance that are going to sweeten the pot. Like, that is someone who has a lot of power. As a lot of what I do is medical practices. Look, if you're looking for 1,500 square feet of medical office space on a 3-year deal, the vacancy rate for that size in a good building is about 2%. And it's really just structural turnover because somebody who was in that space before expanded and moved to a larger space. That's really where are they retired? Those are really the two scenarios that we see that type of space come available. you don't have a lot of bargaining power. It's fine, that's not necessarily a negative, but we really just want to know and advise you on what your tenancy is going to be worth in the market and what you can expect to get. Similar to the owner, where we said, hey, here's your action plan as to here are the 5 things that we can do to make your building worth more. We can sit down with a tenant and say, hey, here are the things that we can do to make your tenancy be a lot more appealing. One of them is lease term. We're talking with a lot of groups that are small and they don't know, hey, we're at 15 people now. We don't know if we're going to be at 30 or 45 next year. We're in rapid expansion growth mode, whatever the case may be. It's like, look, and if that's the case, let's put you into a building that you can expand in. Maybe that has some vacancy, get a right of first refusal on some of the other spaces around there. But 3-year deal, you're not giving us a lot of firepower. Now let's move that up to a 5-year deal. Now we're talking. Now we can really get some fully funded TI for you, get you a nice space. You're not going to have to write a check to get into it. Like, those are small levers that we can pull. If you are a medical practice, how can you improve your lease value? One thing we're going to want to do is to show your longevity. Hey, you've been in practice for this number of years, you have this many locations. Maybe we're going to consolidate some financials and just really paint a really strong financial picture for you. It's so case by case basis that I don't want to go too in the weeds on this. Really, the takeaway from this is owners, your counterparty to any deal, are working with brokers, they're working in-house, and they're really marking to market their portfolio every year, every couple of years. They know the valuation that's going on there. They know how the market's going to respond to it. As a tenant, you cannot just think reactively about this stuff. We have to think proactively about this. Hey, how is the market valuing my tenancy now? Cool, let's go back to this group that needs 10,000 square feet. They don't have to be in Midtown Atlanta. They're fine being in the suburbs. They have 2 years left and they're about to go into expansion mode. Cool, let's take advantage of the market right now and go get you that space ready for your future growth. Like, right now, you're really desirable. 2 years from now, in a tighter market, that's not always going to be the case. This is intuitive across a bunch of different asset classes. I can go online right now and I can find out what my vehicles are worth. I can find out what my home is worth. I can find out what my stock portfolio is worth. These are all common things that we do in our day-to-day lives. Understand what your real estate's worth. If you are a tenant, you have value. Your lease has value. Gosh, I'm just thinking of different examples. One group was paying below market rate and they had a couple years left on the lease. And we knew that building wanted to get a refinance. And so we went to them and we said, hey, we'll do what's called blend and extend. We will sign a longer lease right now. And so our rate over the next couple of years is marginally going to go up, but really we're protecting our downside. So instead of having 2 years of visibility into their occupancy costs, we now have 10 years of visibility into their occupancy costs. And with extensions, we really had 15 years of visibility into that. And the landlord was happy to do that. They paid my fee, they gave us some tenant improvement allowance. They were just thrilled because they knew that they were going to make a lot more than that when they went to refinance out for the bank. So if we can help you at all, give me a call. You guys know how to find us. Thank you.